I cannot believe it, but we have less than 2 months left in 2022. Like, have you really sat down to think about that? Because I hadn't until today. Hey cutie, it's Cunning Little Cutie, and today I'm going to be going through all of the books that I hope to read before the end of 2022. Emphasis on hope. First up, we have the book that I am actually buddy reading right now with my friend Lexi. I will link her Instagram down below because it is so cute. We are reading Lightlark by Alex Astor. So this is kind of the book that took Book Talk by storm a couple of months ago, in both good and bad ways. Let me just give you the tea really quick. Basically, there were a lot of people talking really bad about this book, like right around the time when it came out, and honestly even before, which is part of why, I don't know, it was just like so much drama, is because a lot of people kind of seem to just be like jumping on the bandwagon of giving it negative reviews and like what has been called review bombing, where basically you just go onto the Goodreads page of a book and give it bad reviews whether or not you've read it, because it was clear that a lot of people reviewing the book initially had not even read it. So I really wanted to give this book a fair shot, and we just started it over the weekend, and actually we've talked about it a good bit, and she and I actually both really like it so far. She's on chapter 8, I think I'm on chapter 6. So yeah, I'm trying to catch up. I'm almost there. But basically, she and I both really like it so far. It is basically set in a fictional world where there are 6 different kingdoms. And way back when, they were all given very unique, very specific curses. And they're all different. Like, one of the like nations can only go out during the daytime, and then one is like vice versa, it can only go out during the nighttime. And so every 100 years this island called Lightlark appears, and the rulers of these 6 different like nations can come to Lightlark to basically battle it out to try and break their nation's curse. Storytelling is really great, like the world building is awesome, and world building is usually my least favorite type, like my least favorite part of a fantasy book, because I feel like you can get really bogged down in details that, like, yes, are probably cool for the author to come up with, but as a reader, for me, it just gets a little stale. But that is not the case with this story. It is actually really interesting. I can totally picture myself there in Lightlark in this situation, and I really like all the characters so far. So I'm definitely planning on finishing this book by the end of the year for sure. Next up, we actually have a fantasy duology. They are the most beautiful, stunning covers I have ever seen in my life. And that is A Magic Steeped in Poison and A Venom Dark and Sweet by Judy I. Lin. These books are so beautiful. I saw the box set of the hardcovers at Barnes & Noble the other day, and I was so close to buying it, but I just kind of like, I don't know if you can see, but I have my books faced outwards on my bookshelf, like with the pages facing out, and I know that's a controversial way to style my bookshelf, but that is where we're at right now. And it tends to just look better with the paperbacks, I think, versus like having the colors of the hardcovers poking out. It's just my preference. So I'm waiting for them to come out in paperbacks, but they're just literally the most stunning covers, I mean literally, that I have ever seen in my life. I don't think I will ever see anything that tops this. So I wanted to read you the description because it sounds really cool. So it says, I used to look at my hands with pride. Now all I can think is, these are the hands that buried my mother. For Ning, the only thing worse than losing her mother is knowing that it's her own fault. She was the one who unknowingly brewed the poison tea that killed her. The poison tea that now threatens to also take her sister, Shu. When Ning hears of a competition to find the kingdom's greatest Sheneng Shi, masters of the ancient and magical art of tea making, she travels to the imperial city to compete. The winner will receive a favor from the princess, which may be Ning's only chance to save her sister's life. But between the backstabbing competitors, bloody court politics, and a mysterious and handsome boy with a shocking secret, Ning might actually be the one in more danger. So many thoughts. Okay, first of all, the magic system. It is a magic system based on tea. And if you're a reader, like, I'm not even the biggest, like, most obsessive tea person, but there's just something about tea that just goes along with books. You know what I'm saying? It's like the aesthetics of these two things mesh. So if you're a reader, you will probably find this really interesting. And personally, when it comes to fantasy books, I am really into books that have unique and like original magic systems, like something I've never heard of before. And so far, the most unique magic system I've ever heard of goes to Witch Hat Atelier by Kamomi Shirahama. It is a manga series, and like, you just need to read it, even if you're not into manga. Like, I'm not the biggest manga reader. I want to get more into it, but I just haven't yet. But I love this series. It is so cool. I don't want to spoil how it works, but the magic is just like, I've never heard of anything quite this unique. But I think that A Magic Steeped in Poison might just top that for me. Okay, so next up we have 2 more books, but they're not actually a duology. They're just written by the same author and kind of like related to each other, like they're about kind of the same topic. And that is The Nature of Witches and Wild is the Witch, both by Rachel Griffin. So these books are both about witches, and they're very cozy, and they're both young adult, but they're not about like the same characters. In the first book, witches are all like related to nature. So like each different witch has a certain seasonal power, like spring witches and autumn witches and etc. But then our main character has all 4 seasons powers, and that therefore makes her very powerful, and it means that like she could basically save the world. So it's all about her like learning how to use her powers and falling in love, and it's just supposed to be really cozy, wholesome vibes. Then Wild is the Witch is also about a witch, but it's set in the Pacific Northwest, which I love as a setting. I love pretty much any kind of forest woodsy setting, but particularly just give me those Forks Twilight vibes and I'm there. And this one is kind of more about a witch who is struggling with keeping her power a secret. So in an attempt to kind of get her feelings out, since she can't really talk to anybody, she like anytime she gets irritated, she writes down these curses, like not actually intending to cast them, but just to kind of get all of her feelings out. It's a very cathartic process for her. Until one day, a bird swoops down and snatches one of the curses away before she can get rid of it, and then she and her kind of like enemies to lovers guy, they have to team up and like hike across the Pacific Northwest to track down this bird. So they both sound super cozy, and both of the audiobooks are on Scribd right now. So if you like audiobooks, I would definitely recommend that. I actually have a link in my description. This is not sponsored, but I have a link for, I think it's either 1 or 2 months of free Scribd, like a free trial. So check out that link below. But yeah, I'm really excited about both of those. Next, we actually have a book that I just recently got my copy of, and that is This Blood That Binds Us by S.L. Coakley. I am so excited. I found this book on TikTok through the author's profile. She has been posting about it ever since I think February. And she is super cool because she actually has self-published this book, which I like. Obviously I admire all authors because I imagine like writing a book is really hard. But being able to self-publish your own novel, like that is just another level of awesome to me. And particularly this book is so beautiful. Like The chapter headings have those cute little doodles. So this is a vampire book, so if you were into Twilight, you need to read this Blood That Binds Us. It's basically Twilight, but it's set in college. And you have like the family of vampires. It's like 4 brothers that are all vampires, and they're true to their age. So if you're one of those people that like finds it a little icky when the main character is like 17 and then the love interest is like hundreds of years old, that is not the case with this book, because they actually are all like teenagers, early 20s, like they're true to their physical age. And then the last 2 books on my list of books I want to read before the end of the year, we have Linger and Forever by Maggie Stiefvater. These are the 2nd and 3rd books in the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. The first one is called Shiver. It's one of the very first books I read this year, and so I thought it would just make sense to wrap up the year by reading the other 2. And it's a series about werewolves, and if you know me, you know I'm obsessed with werewolves. I think they're super, super cool. I love Teen Wolf. I stan Jacob Black. Like, it's just a whole thing. And this, honestly, is probably the best, like, werewolf story that I've ever come across. This is basically one of those classic early 2000s paranormal romances. It is so cozy. It just makes you want to curl up with a blanket and read it during like the autumn or the winter. I honestly don't know why I didn't finish the series earlier this year. I think it was just one of those situations where I loved the first book so much, I was a little intimidated to finish the series. Like I didn't want it to end. I wanted it to just like keep going. I wanted to always be able to come back to Mercy Falls and to Sam and Grace and all of the other characters. But at the same time, I still want to read it. It's like the classic reader's conundrum where you want to read a book but you don't want it to end. And so what do? So I think I will at least try to read the 2nd book by the end of the year. Those are all of the books that I want to read before 2020 ends. Wish me luck, y'all, because I'm gonna need it. Like I said, I'm not a fast reader, and that is, I think, like 6 or 7 books to read in the next few weeks, so I need to get cracking. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you are planning on reading before the end of 2022 and kind of like what your goals are for the end of the year. And also, as always, please let me know if there's any way that I can be encouraging you or praying for you this week. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!